Hey gang, welcome to Jay Explains, New Jersey's recreational marijuana legalization opposition. I'm Jay, and on February 21st at City Line Church in Jersey City, New Jersey's Legislative Black Caucus members, Senators Ronald Rice and Nia Gill, along with Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, held the first of 3 hearings on recreational marijuana. Assemblywoman McKnight and Senator Gill, who I've met by the way, lovely lady, don't represent Irvington in government, but Senator Rice does, and he opposes legalization. For my Wire fans, he is my Clay Davis.
Shit, boy. Think I'm gonna be the scapegoat for the whole damn machine? Shit.
Clarence is gonna...
Shit, as far as the federal money's concerned, he's everything. The faucet, the goose.
Oh, goose.
The one that lays them golden eggs. Major crimes. Shit. They gonna come talk to me about money laundering in West Baltimore? Shit. Looking forward to working with you.
Shouldn't you be dead to me?
Shit. I took it easy on you, son.
Pie in the sky.
I spoke with him as a constituent, and as has been the case with every urban elected, he couldn't justify the continuance of the drug war. Just deflect, chastise my youth, and proceed to tell me how legalization is somehow going to do more damage than the status quo already has. I want to make it abundantly clear, I have the utmost respect for Senator Rice. He has held his position for over 30 years and has withstood all manner of opposition. Even when the machine tried to remove him, he stood tall, and that's to be commended, no matter where one stands on any issue. Yet, the circumstances in my community has deteriorated in that time frame, so it is difficult trying to reconcile the respect with the frustration. We had a spirited conversation that he desperately wanted no part of, but to his credit, after I reiterated that I was being very respectful and am a constituent, he withstood until a couple of Caucasian gentlemen greeted him, and he was like, so, what I have for you is 3 of the testimonies that people opposing legalization gave that day. They are going to play in their entirety, and please tell me what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please do all the YouTube things, and until the next video, love.
But today, gathered this year without the public. So the first speaker is going to be Rory Wells, the former prosecutor from Tom's River. Speak directly to the mic to be transcribed and give your name, title, and organization.
Sir. Rory Joseph Wells. I'm a founding partner of Goldman Wells Legal Group. I am a former assistant prosecutor in Ocean County. I'm also a former community relations officer for the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. I do have some remarks, and then certainly if there's time, I'm entertain questions you might have on me. Thank you to the honorable members of the New Jersey Legislative Black Caucus for convening this important hearing. It is my privilege to appear here today and provide remarks for your consideration. I also want to acknowledge our host, City Line Church, in addition to the dignitaries and community members in attendance. My family lineage dates back over 130 years in our state of New Jersey. Initially in Newark, and then in Belleville, where I was raised. I am not an outside interest. This is the state where I was born, and this is the state where I will die. I am African American. I served my country as a young officer in the Marine Corps, Semper Fi, sir. And I served the citizens of Ocean County and the state of New Jersey as an assistant prosecutor for nearly 13 years. Anyone that knows me could speak of my deep concern for our citizenry. My testimony is provided against the legalization of recreational marijuana, retail sales, home grows, and cultivation sites. The first 2 states to allow sales of legalized recreational marijuana were Colorado and Washington in January of 2014. This means the legal recreational industry in this country is just over 48 months old. It is simply impossible to say this is a success with so little time for observation. Colorado was first to legalize recreational marijuana, and their claims of a financial windfall are indeed great. In the process of chasing the money, however, they have destroyed their brand. When speaking of Colorado, no one mentions their restaurants, skiing, universities, or entertainment. Now, when someone hears the words Denver, Colorado, anywhere on the planet, they think of one thing: bullshit. New Jersey has spent decades promoting the Jersey Shore, our tomatoes, blueberries, and sweet corn, the Jersey City waterfront, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, our museums, the diversity of our food, and so many other great things about our state. Are we prepared to trade this for marijuana tourism and 420 celebrations? The homeless situations in Denver and Seattle have been a growing problem for years. This difficult situation has clearly been exacerbated by migrants coming into the cities to use the drug legally and with dreams of getting in on the market. We must ask ourselves, are we prepared to handle an influx of additional homeless people attracted to marijuana sales in Newark, Patterson, Jersey City, or Trenton? Does Atlantic City and Camden have the resources to provide for dozens, if not hundreds, of new homeless migrants living on their streets? I'm not here to argue that smoking or ingesting marijuana is the worst drug you can put in your body. It's not. And people with lots of resources and those living in gated communities will always make out just fine. I'm arguing that passing recreational use and sales would degrade the quality of life and alter the fabric of our communities in a way we would not be able to reverse. Who will stand in the gap for the poor and most vulnerable? Are we prepared to surrender on the issue? For the individual already struggling with other drugs, alcohol, lottery scratch-offs, and nicotine, will we now say, let's add open marijuana sales to your problems? Our goal should be a healthy, sober, prosperous, successful populace. Legalizing a drug that makes you high, slows your response time, makes you less efficient, and affects your memory runs contrary to that goal. I believe this is a revenue source we should pass on. There is a large subculture that has grown around the glorification of marijuana. They smoke it, eat it, collect it, write songs, make movies, and create art dedicated to the worship of this plant. It breaks my heart that this is also evidenced in large parts of our African American and hip hop communities. We should continue to focus on academic scholarship, athletics, excellence, and commitment in our relationships and the parenting of our children. Forgive me for not celebrating when I am told the answer is more drugs and less consequences for that drug. Let us watch and learn from the mistakes of other states before rushing into this generational decision that would nearly be impossible to reverse. And if I could just add, I'm very concerned about the homeless aspect. I don't know if there's been definitive studies how homelessness has affected those states, not necessarily the rural states, but here in New Jersey, we don't know what New York and Pennsylvania are considering. So if we were to initiate this legislation, we would clearly have migrants coming from New York and Pennsylvania to either experiment, utilize, purchase these drugs. They may stay, they may not. But it is my opinion that certainly we would increase our homelessness problem here in New Jersey. That's my testimony offered for the committee, and I thank you.
Thank you. The next person we're going to hear from is Bishop Jethro James.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. God bless all of you. I've come to Navy College.
Bishop, would you start your name and you represent?
I'm Bishop Jethro James. I'm president of the Newark, North Jersey, to lead a black churchman, as well as the senior pastor of the Paradise Church, and I am the bishop that is responsible for all social action of all the full gospel churches in the state of New Jersey, along with a chaplain for the New Jersey State Police. So I have a few titles. Thank you once again for having me. I've come this morning to warn us about the dangers of trying to pass a legislation that makes empty promises. First thing I'd like to say that it will devastate communities of color. Number one, those of us that were fortunate enough to get an education, work at corporate. I retired from PSG, Urban Development Executive after 38 years of service. We know that those that would seek employment would never work for the state of New Jersey as a professional. You can't teach school in the state of New Jersey. You certainly won't be driving any of the transit things. You will not be working in the prison system. You will not work for any major corporation. Even now in this state, Home Depot, as well as Lowe's, require a drug test as a conditional employment. The legislation will change that. The reality is that if unemployment in Parsippany, which is only 25 minutes up to 80 from Newark, is 5% in their community, it's 15% in Newark. The reality is that our best and our brightest brains will be fried by the time they get to a chance to be employed. The other thing is that I've met with certain hospital presidents, and we've talked about it from a healthcare perspective. We know that for 100 years, alcohol and tobacco was pushed in our neighborhood as well as all over the country. Became a billion, maybe even $1 trillion industry. The reality is now it's $1 billion industry to stop you from smoking cigarettes because of what it does. The American Medical Association in its recent journal of medicine talks about what the cannabis will do to your lungs as well as your heart. It talks about what it will do to your brain. We know that they're saying that cannabis is wonderful for a woman in her first trimester, that it will stop her from her morning sickness. However, they don't know what damage it will do to the fetus. As well as she continues to smoke, it will also be in her breast milk. In this state, we know that we're seeing major problems with our young folks that come in on the weekend. I do sit on the board of St. Michael's Hospital in Newark. We had 29 incidences of young folks who literally were out of their mind coming through the emergency room in 2 days. We are looking at what it does in Denver, and folks don't want to talk about this, but in Denver, we're seeing that there's a rise in juvenile being arrested because even in this state or any state that has the laws, juveniles cannot purchase or possess it because of the, I call it side products, the candies, the ice cream, the cookies, and the other marijuana derivative products. Juveniles as young as 11 are being arrested. They're talking about, on the other side, about folks not going to jail. But if you're locked up at 11 years old or have a juvenile record, it's going to cost your parents a problem. The reality in Denver for juveniles in the African American community, 55% increase of 11 to 16 years old arrested possessing cannabis. In the Hispanic community, 34% arrested. In the white community, 8%. It went down, and I'm wondering why. When we look at Denver, Colorado, these are facts, that cannabis shops, or smoke shops as they're called, are put predominantly in African American and poor communities. There are more smoke shops in Denver than there are Starbucks or McDonald's.
Good.
When you look at the geomap, you will find out that even in this state, already we have 2 counties that have said there will be no smoke shops. They are Atlantic County, I believe Ocean County, and Monmouth County. So even our governor, who is pushing this, can't buy cannabis in his own county. The reality is it will devastate the African American community. It will devastate any chance of our children having a future. And then when it comes down to the health care, we're finding out that if all of us would have a drink, it only impacts our minds, it will impact our bodies. If we're all smoking cannabis, my grandchildren, or your children, or grandchildren here, we're finding out that in Denver, there's from 0 to 7, there's a 70% increase in the poison hotline because we know that babies that will be exposed to this smoke, trying to develop their lungs, their hearts, and their other organs. And so there is no EpiPen for cannabis. We need to think long and hard about the long-lasting effects that it's going to have on our community. Thank you so much for hearing me, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Yeah, you some copies for everybody? Okay, good. All right, so the next speaker we're going to have is Christian Zebro, who's a parent.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Christina Ziobro. I am a mother, wife, daughter, and businesswoman born and raised in New Jersey. Thank you for inviting me here today and giving me my husband. Sorry. And my son, Michael, a voice. Okay. This is my story. Sorry. Wake up, Michael, wake up, were the words I spoke to my son the evening of April 10th when I went to say goodnight to him. And instead found him lying on the floor, unresponsive and not moving. From that second on, the evening was a blur. I immediately knew something was wrong, very, very wrong. I ran to get my husband and called 911. We started CPR and waited for the EMTs to arrive. Neighbors, firemen, policemen, EMTs all showed up, but no one could save Michael. He was gone. We would eventually know why. It was arrhythmia induced by cannabis with 28% THC. THC refers to a psychotropic cannabinoid and is the principal psychoactive constituent of cannabis. That caused Michael's death. Because of this, I am compelled to raise awareness of the considerable risks and implications of smoking marijuana because I don't believe the public is aware of these dangers. I feel in my heart of hearts if Michael knew the full implications of smoking marijuana with high levels of THC, he would be alive today. I knew Michael smoked pot. It was the only thing, after years and years of going to doctors, specialists, and psychologists, that relieved his IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, with which he suffered painfully for quite a while. My husband and I did not approve, but after years of seeing Michael in agony, we acquiesced to it because for the first time in ages, Michael was pain-free and happy. And as a parent, isn't that what we all want for our children? As time went by, Michael smoked more, maybe once a day, and became not only an advocate of marijuana use, but an evangelist. He researched and studied the history, politics, effects on the body and mind ad nauseum. He believed, because of what he read in articles, research, and media, using pot was safe. It was natural, a general panacea for many, if not all, ills. At one point, he almost had me and my husband convinced of it too, so we decided to let it go. But somehow Michael got his hands on medical marijuana with 24% and 28% THC. Why that level is required or even produced is beyond me. But I suppose Michael thought the higher the THC level, the less he had to consume to relieve his pain. If he had only been aware of and known to dig a bit deeper, he would have found studies and research that substantiates how elevated THC levels in marijuana can cause harm, even death. Then he might have recognized his racing heart when he smoked was not normal. If he knew all of this, he'd be alive today, and our hearts would not be broken. Today, more than ever, there is such a push to legalize and legitimize marijuana, and I fear this is being done without all the data being thoroughly vetted and explored. Data and facts on the effects of marijuana on the mind, body, and soul. I'm going public with Michael's story to implore the powers that be to do their homework and broadcast the pros and cons of marijuana use. I'm going public to raise awareness, to prevent another mother from ever having to try to wake up her child and not being able to ever again. So why am I here today? I never had an agenda on the legalization of marijuana before Michael died. I was neutral. I was naive, like most people I think are, but no more. Now I know today's marijuana has a higher potency. It comes in all sorts of forms that everyone's talked about today. Gummies, brownies, lollipops, soda, you name it, up to THC levels of 90%. Again, the pot Michael smoked was 28%. Now I know legalizing and commercializing marijuana will create the next big tobacco industry of our time. A new industry of lobbyists and special interests intending to put profits and special interests over public health and safety regulations. Now I know in states that have legal marijuana, the black market continues to thrive. Youth drug use is increasing, state budget shortfalls continue, and the number of fatal drug car crashes is skyrocketing. And now I know people are dying and lives are being destroyed because of marijuana, legal or not, prescribed or not. That's why I've gone public with Michael's story. I don't want another mother, father, sister, brother, grandfather to go through what we're going through. I'm also proud to be part of SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, and NJ Grant. Their mission is one I'm in full alignment with. Their mission being to envision a society where marijuana policies are aligned with a scientific understanding of marijuana's harms. And commercialization and normalization of marijuana are no more. A mission to educate citizens on the science of marijuana to promote health first, smart policies, and attitudes that decrease marijuana use and its consequences. They've been pretty high for me and my family. This is why I'm here today, and why I'm imploring you not to legalize marijuana here in New Jersey or anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you also. Let me say to you, because you're a parent, that the members of the Legislative Bloc Caucus, we do understand that aspect of this debate, if you will. I also want to say to those of you who are here that since this debate started several years ago throughout the country, it's always been said that the issue is not money, the issue is social justice, but it's being sold on the backs of black folk and brown people. The conversation is that there are more black people in jail for the abuse or possession of marijuana than quote-unquote white. And that the money part is something that is secondary to the real issue of social justice. And so we understand what is being said. We also understand that the argument is that if in fact we legalize marijuana, that black folk who are in jail 3 times more than white folk will be able to come out and get records expunged. Well, it seems to me that those who are 3 times less in jail with the same conviction should be allowed as well, and I suspect that will happen. But if it's about social justice and not money, then there are alternative ways to accomplish that. And so we're going to see where this is going, but if you have written testimony, if you can leave a copy